Welcome to our program on Kardak Radio.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to program to know Spiritism. We are live from Brazil, from Portal Saber Spiritismo in Belo Horizonte, and I'm here with Marco Gandra. Today we are going to continue studying the life of Leon Denis. This is a program for Kardak Radio, for Spiritism Dissemination and Discovery Spiritism Network. Last week, we saw that Leon Denis got his first impression with Spiritism when he found the Spirits book in a bookshop. This bookshop on my right, in the city of Tours, where he was living as a young man. So the instructor had just found his disciple, wrote Gaston Luz about the life of Leon Denis and his interaction with our beloved Alan Kardak. Leon Denis wrote, "I read the book avidly, reading from my mother, who suspiciously controlled my readings. She had discovered my hiding place, and in turn was reading it in my absence." And Leon Denis adds, "She was convinced, like me, of the beauty and the greatness of this revelation." So both of them, Leon Denis and his mother, became Spiritists and beginning to follow Alan Kardak's teachings. The young employee, because of his young age and lack of time, could not attend Spiritist meetings at that time. These did not prevent him, like the others, from following this current with passionate curiosity, and so that he began to read everything about Spiritism that he encountered. And then we know of his first meeting with Alan Kardak himself that took place in his city of Tours in the year of 1867. As we know, by that time, Alan Kardak had already published 3 of his most important books, like the Spirits book, the Medium's book, and also the Gospel according to Spiritism. First, Alan Kardak asked the city of Tours City Hall to hold a meeting there, but the City Hall formally refuses permission to hold this meet at its own rented hall. Permission was for more than 20 people, and they thought Alan Kardak would not have so many followers to attend. So the meeting was placed in a home, in a follower's home, and Leon Denis at that time was put in charge of staying at the door of the city hall of the supposed meeting place to prevent the guests to prevent the guests and teach them that the meeting was taking place in another place, and to instruct them to drive to Espírito Villa at Mr. Rebudan's house in the Rue de Sentier, where the meeting would take place in his garden. And after the meeting, Leon Denis wrote, "We were well over 300 listeners, standing and tight to each other, crowded under the trees, stepping on the beds of our host, Mr. Hebudans." It reminded me, this scene, of the group spirit of the preach, uh, of the pray that Chico Xavier founded in Uberaba, and also of his home in Uberaba, because that was the scene every weekend. Lots of people, hundreds of persons standing just to listen to Chico Xavier, as was at that time Leon Denis and other 300 listeners listening to Alan Kardak's teachings. And also Leon Denis told us, under the light of the stars, Alan Kardak's soft and low voice rose, and his meditative face, illuminated by a small lamp placed on a table in the center of the garden, produced a fantastic aspect. He told us about Spiritism, the Spirit's influence in our lives, the obsession, which was a hot topic at that time. He was asked questions to which he answered with a smiling face. How important must be that that meeting, and I just wonder how I would pay everything to be there, just to see this scene and to listen our beloved Alan Kardak teaching these 300 men and women, and among them our beloved Leon Denis. We can see at the right hand side a small picture of the garden where this meeting took place in the city of Tours. So the apostle of Spiritism appears. Leon Denis became a follower, a disciple, and after that an apostle to Spiritism, following the teachings of his professor Hippolyte Léon Denisard Rivail. It's interesting, as I just showed and marked in the Alan Kardak's name, we can see Leon Denis name inside it, and that's a very nice coincidence. Hippolyte Léon Denisard Rivail, as we can see in green, and Leon Denis inside it in the color of blue. So Leon Denis first began the experimental Spiritism, began to seek mediums, to study communications from the spiritual world, and like Mr. Gibier wrote in the review Spirit, the Spirit's Review in 1921, about the thoughts and understandings about Spiritism, and also about experimental Spiritism by Leon Denis. We can read there that Leon Denis and Mr. Gibier wrote, "It is easily understood. It is a dangerous double-cut weapon, experimental Spiritism. If it is practiced with wisdom, method, with a certain purpose, just as it was done in the master's house, referring, of course, to Alan Kardak himself. So experimental Spiritism becomes a priesthood. But if it is practiced lightly, without comprehension, without study, without commitment, it loses all its character of study, and it is an entertainment that constitutes a danger. So we must always ask ourselves, what kind of Spiritism are we following? Are we studying it deeply as it should be? Or are we just trying to have a lightly approach to experimental Spiritism? The answer of this question is of high value, because if we have it practiced with wisdom, seeking the truth, with method of study, with a purpose to follow our Master Jesus Christ, the Consoler, then it may become for us a priesthood. But if we approach Spiritism in a lightly way, without commitment of any kind, this can constitute a danger for us, because it constitutes also a debit in our history that most certainly we will regret after this life. I thank you so much for being with me today. And the next week, we are going to talk about Leon Denis and his experiences in Spiritism. Thank you so much for listening. Hope to see you in the next program to know Spiritism. Bye-bye.